better.
Jennifer Lopez is the rudest celebrity ever. For years now, people have shared their negative interactions with the celebrity, but lately people are speaking up more than ever before.
And then at the end of it, she's just like, don't touch me. And I was like, I didn't even touch
I did not love delivering coffee to
Had a good experience
I
with
know,
that
and a lot of
one.
people have had good experiences with her, but a lot of people have also had not great experiences with her.
She picks and chooses.
I mean, I saw there was a clip earlier of her like spitting her gum into her assistant's hand, and a lot of people didn't like that.
Now we all know that J.Lo is linked to Diddy, and it has people questioning if she was involved in some of the crimes he committed. Now J.Lo and Diddy began dating in 1999 after meeting on the set of her music video for If You Had My Love. They ended up breaking up in 2001, but still talk here and there. The thing is though, J.Lo has been arrested with Diddy before, and some people think she lied to the police to cover for him. In 1999, Diddy was arrested following an incident that happened at a nightclub in New York, and J.Lo was with him, resulting in her getting arrested too. The incident started with a disagreement and ended with 3 different people becoming injured. After the incident, Diddy, J.Lo, and others left the scene, but then they were involved in a police car chase. According to the Washington Post, police found a stolen weapon in the car, and both Diddy and J.Lo were arrested and initially charged with criminal possession of stolen property. Now the charges against J.Lo were dropped overnight, but Diddy went to trial. Jennifer spent 14 hours in a police station as a result of the incident, and she later described it as an unfortunate situation, adding, "We were somewhere we shouldn't have been. It was a bad situation, and any bad situation that involves celebrities, people run with." Some witnesses, though, say that they saw J.Lo throw evidence out of the car while they were running from the police. Now, J.Lo has rarely spoken about the incident, but in the year 2000, she did address it in an interview with British Elle. She said, "It was a complete nightmare. I had absolutely no idea what was going on. No one did." Now, J.Lo was in a little more trouble when they were arrested because up until that point, Jennifer said she was born in 1970, but she was actually born in 1969. Now, why did she change her age? No one really knows. Some say it was to appear younger in Hollywood, and while I understand that, the difference was only 1 year, and to be honest, I don't think that would help that much. But yes, it was discovered that she was lying about her age. If she could lie about that and then was maybe caught tampering with evidence, how can we believe her about anything? Then back in 2015, Jennifer appeared on the Wendy Williams show with her mother. Now during the conversation, Wendy wanted to know if J.Lo and Diddy could ever get back together. Wendy said, "So if you recall, the last time you were here, I was telling you that I could always see you getting back with Puffy in a little way." Now J.Lo laughed and shook her head while Wendy shrugged, but J.Lo's mother's reaction was the most shocking part of this. A camera panned to her in the audience and she shouted no while doing a cut it hand gesture. Now safe to say, she didn't like Diddy and didn't want her daughter to get back together with him, which honestly was probably the right call. But I truly wonder what happened between them that made her mother hate him so much. I mean, J.Lo has said in the past that Diddy cheated on her, but she never had any real proof. She said, "I was in this relationship with Puff where I was totally crying crazy and going nuts. It really took my whole life in a tailspin." Now, she grew increasingly concerned about his fidelity, saying, "I never caught him, but I just knew," she said of his cheating. Now, Diddy himself admitted that he was often unfaithful in relationships, but was there more to this relationship that made J.Lo's mother hate him? I guess we'll never know. Then there's the fact that J.Lo likes to exaggerate growing up in the Bronx. You see, when J.Lo's documentary, The Greatest Love Story Never Told, was released this year, viewers had issues with the way she described growing up in the Bronx. In one scene, it shows Jennifer looking into a mirror, reminiscing about her childhood. She says, "I like taking my hair out like this. It reminds me like when I was 16 in the Bronx, running up and down the block, crazy little girl who used to be wild and no limits, all dreams." But even though she loves speaking about the Bronx, it's a place she actively avoids, as people who actually live in the Bronx have exposed. One TikTok creator, Photos by Angela, posted a video alleging that she and J.Lo had gone to the same high school and claims to have waited for years before speaking out, having been annoyed in silence. Now in the TikTok clip, she accused J.Lo of lying and using the residents of the Bronx to look human. human. We both attended an all-girls high school in an Irish and Italian neighborhood, so you weren't running up and down the block, she says. Not to mention the fact that J.Lo starred in a car commercial that took place in the Bronx, but the ad backfired when it was reported that J.Lo never actually went to the Bronx to film the ad, and that a body double stand-in was used instead. Now it seems like J.Lo just acts like she loves the Bronx, but it's just a facade. It's so strange that she's made this her main image and personality though, when there are people who can actually deny all of this. Then there's how J.Lo stays looking young. Now J.Lo is beautiful for her age, and everyone has always commented on how well she's aged, but it seems like there might be something at play here that not everyone can do. Now J.Lo herself says the key to her flawless skin is olive oil. The star spoke out ahead of the launch of her J.Lo beauty skincare range, saying of olive oil, "It's a secret I've used over the years because it really does work." But fans and professionals are not convinced. In the past, fans have caught J.Lo using video filters to blur her skin to make it look perfect. And then there's the people who have accused the star of getting cosmetic work done. Plastic surgeon Corey Hartman took to Instagram to challenge J.Lo on her whole olive oil thing. He said, "There are some things that I think and other things that I know for sure. I think Jennifer Lopez is probably forgetting if she's ever had Botox, but I know for sure that she's used more than olive oil to maintain that glow. I really thought that we turned the corner on Botox denial and judging others for personal choices when it comes to cosmetic procedures." Now Jennifer has obviously not responded to these claims, but many other surgeons and people online have speculated that she's gotten work done. And then there's the fact that J.Lo is a diva and has so many demands whenever she performs. Honestly, I'm shocked people still hire her because it seems like a pain in the butt to do everything that she wants. Now when she appeared on the British television show Top of the Pops in the late 90s, it's been said that she refused to perform unless her dressing room was completely redecorated. It's alleged that J.Lo demanded that everything had to be white or she wouldn't go on stage. Now this seems to be a theme because it was reported while attending a recording session for the African AIDS charity single What's Going On in 2002, she submitted her standard tour rider, which demanded a 40-foot trailer furnished all in white from top to bottom, flowers, tablecloth, drapery, couches, candles, everything. Love don't cost a thing, says Gary Sussman at Entertainment Weekly, but being a diva sure can be expensive. And hey, I gotta agree. Then there's her hotel demands. In the 90s and early 2000s, it was said that she had very specific food and beverage notes for the hotels she stayed at. Her personal suite must include a coffee maker, hot water pot, toaster, microwave, and an oven all set up before she arrives. Additionally, she requests plates, coffee mugs, thermos cups, and silverware. Now she also demanded 12 bottles of water for her second room, which was her wardrobe room. It seems like she didn't change her ways though, as in January 2016, she started her Las Vegas residency. She signed a 3-year contract to perform roughly 120 shows a year at Planet Hollywood's Axis Theater. She makes $350,000 for each show and performed 3 times a week. But this wasn't enough for her, as she had more demands. She requested 3 penthouse suites all next to each other, she asked for a playground in her suite for her kids, and she also demanded a personal laundry service and for each room to have its own on-call butler wearing all white. The housekeeping staff had to sign full disclosure agreements to ensure that they didn't spill any of her secrets. Now she requested brand new toilets for the backstage area, and then again, an all-white dressing room. Now I'm sure if she were to have gone through with her summer tour, the demands would have been even more insane.
So it's not unusual that, when you break up with somebody, you want to go for a bit of an image refresh. But J.Lo took Ben Affleck's recent glow up personally, and once you know why, you're gonna see why. So he's been spotted out and about with a noticeably darker hair situation and beard situation. So a lot of folks are like, oh, he dyed his grays following the whole breakup. He's also been looking a little more buff, a little more put together instead of his usual Duncan paparazzi photos. But here's the thing, his makeover offended J.Lo. Why? Well, according to sources, she's infuriated that he's only looking after himself now that she isn't around to reap the benefits. According to that insider, Ben is suddenly going out of his way to pamper himself and look his absolute best. He's dyeing his hair, he's getting manicures and pedicures, he's getting waxed from head to toe, he's even getting hair plugs, and he's seeing a dermatologist for skin treatments to turn back the clock. So J.Lo is seeing red because these are all things she wanted him to do when they were together and he refused. Like, this new look isn't just like a day trip to the salon. Apparently he has completely overhauled his lifestyle now that Jennifer's out of the picture. Now this routine comes after years of J.Lo trying to control him, begging him to take better care of himself, and obviously she's feeling a little wounded. One source confirms like even his diet's cleaner, he's cut out the junk, which like once again, those Dunkin' photos, come on man. It's like a total slap in the face to J.Lo because it's sending the message that she wasn't worth making these changes for. But now that he's single and looking to mingle, he's willing to step it up and stop being such a slob. So J.Lo's watching all this unfold with a mixture of frustration and disbelief. It's bothering her to see him making all these improvements, knowing that it's for somebody other than her. Now her inner circle is telling her he's just a middle-aged fool who didn't deserve her, but she's feeling pretty let down. And like, you know what? For once, I'll say she's right. So people were very convinced that Sterling K. Brown was shading the heck out of J.Lo earlier this year. So the most damning evidence I could find. There's one clip where, yeah, it looks like he's mocking her to her face. Well, the talking in Spanish came off as weirdly aggressive. That appeared to be like an overall theme for the promotional tour. And I'll admit, I wasn't entirely sold on the whole like hating thing until I watched the clip a couple of times. And he was giving some major side eye to the camera that looked to be on purpose. Now, in fairness, it could have just been like end of press tour, tired of being asked the same questions 10,000 times. But I totally get, the thrill of reading the look as J.Lo makes me yearn for the sweet release of, you know what, the word I can't say. The Mariah Carey-Jennifer Lopez feud has been playing out since the early 2000s, and it all began with 4 little words Mariah Carey once uttered to a German reporter. The infamous, "I don't know her." Now, both stars have been repeatedly asked about the comment, and they simply can't seem to decide whether they like each other or not. When Andy Cohen brought up the beef on his show Watch What Happens Live back in 2014, J.Lo played off the whole thing, being like, I don't have a feud with her at all. I know from back in the day I've read things that she said about me that were not the greatest, but we've never met. Like, we don't know each other. I would love to meet her. I would love to be friends with her. Yeah, okay, girly. Here's the thing, she sang quite the different tune during a 2016 appearance on the Wendy Williams show, saying, she does say that. She's forgetful, I guess. We've met many times. Now that same year, Mariah Carey spoke to Andy Cohen about the feud and stood her ground, reiterating, I don't know her. What am I supposed to say? So following Mariah Carey's disastrous New Year's Eve performance that December, J.Lo found an opportunity to throw some subtle shade. So when an Instagram user posted about the train wreck of a show, writing, ever seen an accident you couldn't take your eyes away from? That was her tonight. J.Lo liked the post. Now, Brandy's coming into play because she picked sides in the feud in 2017 when she took to Instagram to share a photo of herself hugging Mariah Carey with a simple 3-word caption many believed was overflowing with shade. Hashtag she knows me. So as soon as that hit the internet, everybody was over that. They were like, oh my gosh. So that's totally in reference to the famous I don't know her. And obviously everybody was quick to deny the drama. They were like, oh my gosh, what happened? I swear to goodness, I don't know what the fuss is about. I love this photo and now everyone thinks I'm throwing shade at who? This is funny, can't take this one down. I love this picture and whenever I'm throwing shade, it's not questionable. You know what I am. Like, girl, that's the biggest non-apology ever. And she literally continued to say, like, also I've met her several times, like the several seats that should be taken. She does know me. So Mariah Carey also piped in, commenting, saying, I sure do. So when Mariah published her memoir, The Meaning of Mariah Carey, in September of 2020, she kind of revealed the root of her feud. She also threw more shade. So in the book, Mariah Carey slams her ex-husband, Tony Mottola, the then chairman and CEO of Sony Music Entertainment, accusing him of trying to ruin her career and getting J.Lo involved. So apparently a younger in life Mariah Carey married a double her age Mottola in 1993, but divorced him in 1998 because he was controlling. So then she claimed that he tried to sabotage the Glitter soundtrack, writing that her decision to sample Yellow Magic Orchestra's Firecracker on the movie's lead single Loverboy did not go unnoticed by Sony executives. She said that after hearing my new song using the same sample I used, Sony rushed to make a single for another female entertainer on their label whom I don't know. Yep, she went there. Rather than naming J.Lo by name, she reverted back to her infamous comment. For the record, J.Lo did sample Firecracker on I'm Real that year, but Mariah Carey's convinced she got the last laugh. After all that nonsense, Loverboy ended up being the best-selling single of 2001 in the United States. So as soon as Jennifer Lopez shared a snap of herself chilling with Drake backstage at her Las Vegas show in December of 2016, the rumor mill went amok. They were like, oh my gosh, are they dating? And the caption she used for the pic might have been tame, just like, look who rolled up to my show tonight to say hi. But the hashtag she added, hashtag love him, Definitely wasn't, and neither was the follow-up. Yeah, she didn't help anything when she uploaded an image of the two of them in like a bear hug, like a little snuggly moment. Yeah, no, not a lot of people liked it. Now, while some folks didn't believe the headlines, Drake's on-again, off-again love interest at the time, Rihanna, sure seemed to take the post to heart and was none too impressed. Now, according to an anonymous insider who spoke out publicly, Rihanna felt like she had suffered the ultimate betrayal, and she dubbed J.Lo desperate and a traitor. After all, those two ladies used to be real close, like besties, and apparently Rihanna confided in J.Lo about her tumultuous relationship with Drake. Now, this thing was never really publicly addressed, but Rihanna did throw major shade in December of 2016 when she suddenly unfollowed J.Lo on Insta. Nicki Minaj and Jennifer Lopez first exchanged jabs during a 2012 American Idol episode when Nicki Minaj performed and J.Lo was a judge. So after Nicki Minaj finished her set, she asked, "I was hoping maybe I could come back and be like a guest judge. J.Lo, can you scoot over a bit?" Now things got real icy when J.Lo quipped back, "I don't know if there's enough room for both of us." Well, apparently Nicki Minaj got a little fired up from that and said backstage she didn't seem to be having it, but she's gonna have it, before trying to smooth things over, saying, "Oh, we were just joking around." Well, fast forward to 2015, things didn't really get any better when J.Lo opened the American Music Awards with a medley of songs that included an excerpt from Anaconda. There was one person in the audience who appeared to be totally unimpressed, one Nicki Minaj. As the camera cut to her emotionless face undeniably said it all. But when a fan tweeted the clip and proclaimed, "Damn J.Lo, Nicki Minaj facial expression says it all," she fired back explaining, "LOL, says what all? I'm looking at my own face on the screen when I'm looking to the right. I turn back and look at her." And who became a judge on American Idol later on and replaced somebody?
I'm not someone who regularly keeps up to date with celebrity gossip, but oh man, these stories of assistants exposing Jennifer Lopez's attitude and hard-edged personality had me on the edge of my seat. I never realized how vile she could potentially be. Of course, it's majority done by word of mouth, but nonetheless, these are some eye-openers about Jenny from the block. This jet company story is a wild ride. When I tell you my mouth was dropped the entire time reading these alleged posts, the tale comes from an ex-user by the name of Moira Webb, who claims they were working for a private jet company during the time of this story, and labeled J.Lo as a nightmare person. Moira went on to talk about a few experiences she had with the celebrity, and explains a rather devastating story that even happened to one of her colleagues. Apparently, Jennifer Lopez desperately needed a fruit platter for her catering order before she took off in the AM, and by despair, it wasn't a simple "could you please?" Oh no, it was a full-on shouting demand that she had that platter now. One of the line tech guys, who unluckily got the brunt of it, rushed over to a nearby grocery store to quickly grab the emergency platter, covered in jet fuel might I add, and having his ear to the walkie-talkie the entire time as he navigated between plane landing calls and wondering if strawberries or blueberries would suffice for Her Majesty. As luck would have it, she was already taken off by the time he was pulling into the lot. I'm all for using past experiences to express your artistry, especially when it comes to acting and songwriting, which Lopez did in Jenny from the Block. The song expresses about her time growing up, a time where she didn't have the luxurious items that she has now. "Used to have a little, now I have a lot," is a line used within the chorus. Jennifer states that the neighborhood inspires her within her career, but how much of that is actually true? Allegedly, during an endorsement deal with the Italian manufacturing company Fiat, she was supposed to be driving around in one of the cars throughout her past location. However, a barbershop owner by the name of Eligio Cueto claims that Jenny from the Block was not in the car at all, or anywhere on the block for that matter. Jennifer had no comments on it, and I wonder why that was. She could have easily said that she was filming something else that day, or some other career opportunity conflicted with the company's shooting date, but decided to remain quiet. It looks a little suspicious to me, wondering if she intended to at all return to her old neighborhood. If not a conflict within her career, was it a possible conflict within the shoot and a potential issue of not wanting to cooperate? Majority of people love a good J.Lo performance, especially when it's planned at the World Music Awards. But of course, before the show even goes on, Lopez needs that wind down time and moments of preparation for really gearing herself up before such a big performance. If you had all the money in the world, what would you ask for to help you get ready for such a big gig? Well, if you're anything like Lopez, I would imagine your demands would be just as outrageous and over the top. One of the requests made by the celebrity was to be ferried on a speedboat from Cannes to Monaco. Of course, it can't be just any regular speedboat. It had to be, and I quote, a custom-fitted speedboat, complete with a love seat, faux leather seats, and a champagne fridge. Oh yes, and let's not forget her $3,000 diamond-decorated headphones. Her precious ears on such a loud boat needed to be not only protected, but bedazzled as well. That's just the beginning though, because by the time she finally got there were more insane requests being made, and I quote, her people requested that she have an entire floor of the hotel to herself to ensure she wasn't hassled. Privacy was a main concern, so she had a piece of beach roped off too. She spent the morning playing there with her kids, but she declined the offer of a butler, insisting she was happy to do things for herself, like throwing away your own piece of gum perhaps? Because surely that is something you would be happy to do for yourself, right? Sometimes these stories don't come straight from Jennifer's right-hand man or women, but rather everyday working folks like you and me. Some people who work in the retail and food industry have had the misfortune of assisting Lopez when it came to her everyday needs, with one of them involving a pair of shoes. This story allegedly happened at Foot Locker and was uploaded by a TikToker who has since removed the story online. Apparently the singer cussed her out because the store didn't carry the proper shoe size for her twin children. I'm sorry, since when was it the employee's fault for not magically having their shoe ready for you to go? Probably all that time getting what you want has finally gone to her head, expecting her needs and desires to start falling from the sky at this point. Another public story comes from a nail artist who had to place herself upside down because Jennifer wanted her toes done in bed and refused to roll over off her stomach. If this is true, come on girl, how entitled could you be? Couldn't you have at least elevated your feet for the poor woman? The nail artist was so upset that she even had the urge to yell, "B, get up, and get the F out of here." Let's talk about some of the business aspects of it now, specifically related to people who worked side by side at the top with her. Plenty of her assistants have claimed that she had barely paid them, and having myself see the nickname Paylo speculated around online, I shouldn't laugh, but it's quite clever and funny. This has happened before with her former manager Benny Medina, who had accused her of not only paying him improperly, but also he himself was being accused of violating California's Talent Agency Act. He was then fired by her in 2003, with Jennifer Lopez wanting full restrictions from the agency, and to top it off, claiming 10% interest from it. This whole thing was a mess, and Medina wasn't having it. He was going to be sure about having his name cleared from this. The accusations that I misappropriated money from Jennifer Lopez is both untrue and offensive. Jennifer Lopez, by making false allegations against me, is now trying to add me to the long list of people whom she has used and discarded after she took from them all she could get. I look forward to the opportunity to have the world come to know the real Jennifer Lopez. I will defend myself against these lies and will collect from her every dollar for which I am owed. Quoted from Medina himself. The weirdest thing about all of this is that in 2008, he began working with her again. I personally feel, after all that, there is a way too much water under that bridge to properly sustain itself. To say something so bold as the world will come to know the real J.Lo, to only then go back to working with her, something doesn't add up here. There was also a mess within her other agency, Endeavor, who apparently told her to fire Medina or leave the agency. And being the diva that she is, she dropped both of them. I mean, yeah, the girl is big enough to do it, and any other agency, despite her reputation, will be falling over each other to be her next assistant in her career. We also can't forget about the time the reason why one of her longtime assistants, Jilly, left her was because she hadn't bothered to keep her boyfriend, Casper Smart, at the time in check when coming over to visit. He was allegedly rude and treated the staff terribly during his stay. I don't know about you, but I don't date anyone who's rude to waiters, retail workers, or anyone trying to make a decent living in the world. Smart demanded they called him Mr. Smart and would order Jilly to get him drinks. Get up and do it yourself, pal. And Lopez, actually, I'm not surprised you would date someone who's realistically right up your alley. The TikToker that goes by the name Red Peppa Flake claims that her own father used to work for the driving company that once chauffeured Lopez. The girl states that Lopez has a very strict rule when it comes to her drivers. They can't look her in the eye, or at all for that matter, cannot speak to her, and her luggage better not ever touch the ground she walked on. I didn't realize we were dealing with absolute royalty of the music industry here. Bow down to your almighty ice queen. You apparently can't even look in the rearview mirror without assuming you're trying to get a peek at her. Sorry Lopez, let me just stick my head out of the car window instead so that I don't tap grandpa accidentally while backing up. Having an impact like this on a worker where a driver such as this one refuses to help you anywhere is astonishing. You know what? That's actually an accomplishment. And this is coming from someone who always says my thank yous when coming off the TTC.
J.Lo has fallen from grace recently with all of her lies being being uncovered. From lying about where she grew up to stealing music from artists, here's evil Jennifer Lopez lies she's tried to keep secret from the public. What's crazy is J.Lo is notorious for stealing from other artists. J.Lo caught her big break in 1997, where she starred as the late Latin pop singer Selena in her biography of the same name. After the film, J.Lo ventured into music. J.Lo's demo was picked up by music exec Tommy Mottola and Sony Music. Now, this caused some drama between her and Mariah Carey, as Tommy was her ex-husband. In Mariah's 2020 memoir, she slammed Tommy, the then chairman and CEO of Sony Music Entertainment, accusing him of trying to ruin her career and getting Jennifer Lopez involved. She said after she played a new song to Sony after she and Tommy ended their relationship, Sony rushed to make a single for another female entertainer on their label, aka J.Lo. Things actually get a bit worse and even more obvious. Mariah had just recently worked on an exciting collab with Ja Rule, who Tommy also convinced to do the song with J.Lo. While J.Lo's I'm Real remix enlisted Ja Rule, Mariah was forced to change the song sample and bring in another rapper for her own remix, choosing Da Brat. J.Lo essentially helped Tommy try to ruin Mariah's career, and Mariah claims that she knew about it the whole time. And honestly, it wouldn't really surprise me if J.Lo was in on it. Another time J.Lo was accused of stealing music was when she dropped her debut album On the 6 in summer 1999. One big hit from the album was If You Had My Love. The song received backlash from R&B singer Shantae Moore. Moore had a near identical song called If I Gave Love, recorded a year prior in 1998. Both songs from J.Lo and Moore were written and produced by Rodney Jerkins. It's said that Lopez's then boyfriend Diddy pressured Jerkins to write a near identical song. Lopez's stealing habits worsened as time went on. Using background vocals is not uncommon in the music industry. The issue is that J.Lo passed many vocals from other singers as her own, essentially committing music fraud. Songs like Play and the I'm Real remix feature prominent reference track vocals from Christina Milian and Ashanti. Jennifer and Ja Rule's music video for the I'm Real remix, J.Lo reused Ashanti's reference track vocals on the song and passed them off as her own. Instead of J.Lo re-recording the song, she left the demo vocals on the song and failed to credit Milian or Ashanti. The worst offender is J.Lo's signature song, Jenny from the Block. Natasha Ramos sings the track's chorus, bridge, and ad-libs. Ramos also contributed vocals to multiple songs on Lopez's third album, This Is Me Then. Ramos has downplayed her contributions to the song on Twitter. This is directly contradicted by the leaked reference track showing Ramos's chorus and ad-libs are directly cut and pasted. You thought I was done, but then in 2005, Usher claimed that she stole a song that he cast aside while recording his hugely successful album called Confessions. Usher claimed that J.Lo's single Get Right is actually a re-recorded version of Ride, a song that he co-wrote the year before, which was only available online. He said, quote, "I hate it, but I'd better get some of the publishing rights or else. I didn't put it on my album because I couldn't get it right, but I didn't expect J.Lo to just take it." Not only has J.Lo been accused of stealing music and not singing her songs, she's actually been caught lip-syncing quite a few times. In November 2021, she was slammed by music fans for allegedly lip-syncing during her American Music Awards performance as she took the stage to carry out her brand new song, On My Way, Marry Me. Another angry viewer ranted, quote, "Come on with the overproduced singing. This commercial sounds exactly like her live vocals just did." A commentator pointed out, quote, "Now why are you lip syncing? You have a great voice. Just sing the song." This isn't the first time this has happened though. In 2014, she was caught lip syncing her performance of I Love Ya Poppy on American Idol, and again, fans were not happy about this. Jennifer might seem nice to the public, but behind the scenes it's said that she has been awful to employees, a full Ellen DeGeneres situation going on here. According to several of J.Lo's former staff members, Jennifer earned herself the nickname pay low because she paid her staff around 50% less than they could make elsewhere. This rumor has been going on for years. See, way back in 2003, Jennifer was spotted in Vegas with her then boyfriend, Ben Affleck. The pair had had a big win, and Ben decided to drop a $2,000 tip to the dealer, but before he could scoop the generous reward, J.Lo snatched up the cash and swapped it for $200 instead. And then in 2012, reports surfaced that she demanded that staff working for her make no eye contact or speak with her. While having work done on her San Fernando Valley home, she demanded that none of the helpers, drivers, or contractors have any interactions with her, and reportedly, when flying first class, she doesn't like anyone to bother her, even the flight attendant. One time, a flight attendant offered her a drink and she refused to acknowledge him. She said to her assistant, "Please tell him I'd like a Diet Coke and lime." Yeah. It's kinda crazy. That is not all though, as in 2012 it was reported that she had a maid fired from her job, although she repeatedly denies it. Jennifer was staying at the Malia Dusseldorf in Germany, and a maid working at the hotel approached the Diva's room to get an autograph. She spoke with J.Lo's assistant, who denied her to see the star. The next morning, the maid was fired. She said a day later the cleaning company that employed me at the hotel called and said that Ms. Lopez had complained. I was fired right there on the phone because of an autograph. Jennifer and the hotel deny that she was fired for that reason. The maid had allegedly barged into the room unannounced, and the singer's security immediately gave her the boot out of concern for the singer's safety. Very fair. Hotel management has since assured J.Lo's people that no one was fired, but the maid company the hotel uses had relocated the maid in question to a different property. I mean, who would lie about getting fired? It definitely seems pretty convincing to me. Then there was the whole thing with the Super Bowl halftime show, the drama. Jennifer was frustrated with the organizers of the halftime show for giving her and Shakira the same amount of time that any solo performer would receive, rather than doubling it for their performance together. For context, performers for the halftime show are usually given 12 to 16 minutes on stage. Past solo artists, such as The Weeknd and Beyonce, have used the time to switch from song to song, but it's also not uncommon for multiple artists to share the stage for a performance of this length of time too. One recent Super Bowl, for example, saw stars Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, Kendrick Lamar, and 50 Cent, with each member only receiving a few minutes directly centered in the spotlight. Iconic Super Bowl performance. However, J.Lo was clearly unhappy with the idea of her and Shakira dividing the time between them, telling her music director Kim Burse in her Netflix documentary, "We have 6 effing minutes. We have 30 seconds of song, and if we take a minute, that's it. We've got 5 left. But there's got to be certain songs that we sing through. We have to have our singing moments. It's not going to be a dance effing review. We have to sing our message," she said, before going on to label the entire thing as the worst idea in the world. This is the worst idea in the world to have 2 people do the Super Bowl. While this is what it was like behind the scenes, to the whole world, J.Lo was acting all happy about sharing the stage, but as soon as her real feelings about the situation started to come out, fans called her out for her entitled attitude, arguing that regardless of the time constraints, she and Shakira were still able to put on a pretty iconic show. But her whole attitude was just so disrespectful towards Shakira, it was honestly kind of gross.
J.Lo has shown signs of not being somebody good for quite a while now, and it's time we play Count the Red Flags. So Jennifer Lopez is notorious for stealing from other artists, and when you think about how many times she's stolen, it's actually kind of crazy. So let's go back in time, let's go through the timeline, folks. She caught her big break back in 1997, the year I was born, when she starred as the late Latin pop singer icon Selena in the biography of the same name. So after that, J.Lo ventured into music. Her demo was quickly picked up by music executive Tommy Mottola and Sony Music, and she dropped her debut album in summer of 1999. It was on the 6th, huge deal. This was only 2 years later, ooh. One big hit from the album, If You Had My Love, we all know it, we all love it. Now, this song, this is her first big hit, received backlash from R&B singer Shantae Moore. So Moore had a near identical song called If I Gave Love, which was recorded only a year prior in 1998, and both of these songs were written and produced by Rodney Jerkins. Now, it's been said that Jennifer Lopez's then boyfriend Puff Daddy pressured Jerkins to write a near identical song, and J.Lo's stealing only gets worse as time goes on. So here's the thing, using background vocals is not uncommon in the music industry, but the issue with J.Lo is that she's passed off a lot of these vocals from other singers as her own, which is essentially committing fraud. Songs like Play and the I'm Real remix feature prominent reference track vocals from Christina Milian and Ashanti. Jennifer and Ja Rule's music video for the I'm Real remix, yeah, it kind of was very obvious when J.Lo was reusing Ashanti's reference track vocals on the song and not her own, but passing them off as her own. She just left the demo vocals on the song and didn't credit anybody. She's also stolen, or at least attempted to steal, from artists like Usher, Brandy Norwood, Mariah Carey, and so many more. She's also been accused of lip syncing during live performances on many occasions. Let's see, what's a recent example? Ooh, 2021. A lot of folks took to social media during her American Music Awards performance to express their disappointment, because they're like, girl, your vocals are not matching the studio version of your song. Similar accusations surfaced in 2014 during her performance on American Idol, when people were like, girl, you're lip syncing, I lay a poppy. Forbes credits makeup artist Scott Barnes with creating the signature technique that became J.Lo's iconic glow, which was the preferred look of the early 2000s. And no folks, it was not olive oil, it was makeup. J.Lo and Scott worked together for like many years. He worked on Hustlers, he worked on the Halftime Show, like he's been by J.Lo's side since almost the beginning of her career. And while their working relationship and friendship spans 2 decades, there was a time when Scott didn't have J.Lo's love, and we need to talk about it. So he spilled the beans during an interview on the Jeff Probst show. So after rumors circulated that Barnes and a couple of others leaked plans of J.Lo and Mark Anthony's secret marriage, J.Lo's team shunned Barnes. He said nobody would talk to me. It was like I had some sort of disease. Now when the truth came out that obviously he did not leak the news, he didn't even know about the wedding ahead of time, he got a phone call, presumably from J.Lo, and he claimed, she said, it was like, hey, it was a big misunderstanding, you know, we have a lot of stuff coming up, and like I really miss you, so let's just get back to work. Now obviously he's been very diplomatic in his recounting of the temporary fallout, but it's clear that he never got like a direct apology for being shunned for no reason. And what's even more interesting is, considering the fact that the two quickly reconciled, he chose not to keep this story quiet, which means he's got something to say, which means I think there's more that needs to be talked about. So Jennifer Lopez faced backlash after revealing she was unhappy about sharing the stage with fellow iconic recording artist Shakira at the 2020 Super Bowl. The duo took the stage by storm at the iconic annual halftime show, with their history-making performance attracting tons of praise from fans and celebrities worldwide. But, and it's a big one, it turns out that despite the evident success of the joint performance, J.Lo wasn't really super-duper happy with the NFL's decision to have her and Shakira take the stage together, admitting in her Netflix documentary that she thought that it was the worst idea in the world. So shortly after those comments began hitting the internet, fans called her out for her entitled attitude, arguing that regardless of the time constraints, the duo put on an iconic show. Speaking of J.Lo and her documentaries, if you didn't know, earlier this year, she released this documentary on Amazon Prime called This Is Me Now, A Love Story, which gave a behind-the-scenes look into her album, This Is Me Now, and the accompanying movie, The Greatest Love Story Never Told. I know, it's a lot, it all came out around the same time, and a lot of folks who watched it were like, hey, not to fact check, but you lied a little bit. So in one scene, J.Lo poses in the mirror of her personal gym, she's shaking out her hair, and she's talking about her upbringing. When I like taking out my hair like this, it reminds me like when I was in the Bronx, running up and down the block, crazy girl who used to be wild and no limits, all dreams. However, folks, and this is where the fact checking comes in, TikTok user Photos by Angela slammed J.Lo in a series of videos because she's like, oh no, I went to the same Catholic high school as Jennifer, and accused J.Lo of lying about her experience living in the Bronx. She said, we attended this all-girls school in an Irish and Italian neighborhood. You weren't running up and down the block. And we're not done with the lies yet, folks. So remember earlier when I talked about the stealing and the music? So J.Lo's been accused of not actually singing on her albums, and somebody else has something to say about it. Singer Natasha Ramos took to TikTok to shed some light. Now she has a voice that's very similar to J.Lo's, and she was hired to sing on the demo of Jenny from the Block. And the production team liked her voice so much that they asked her to record 5 more songs for the album This Is Me Then, including the single I'm Glad. Now Natasha received $3,500, a backup singer's credit, but as she claims and as the original demo demonstrates, it's her voice on the final track. And we're not just talking the choruses, it's her laugh, it's her yelling from the Bronx. It's technically her song. So what isn't J.Lo telling us? Going back to that old boyfriend, Puff Daddy. Well, that whole arrest on racketeering and things I can't say and we can't talk about and can't show has obviously sent shockwaves through Hollywood. Everybody is turning the spotlight on his infamous past parties because they were the place to be for 20 years. And as the scandal unfolds, a lot of celebrities once linked to his star-studded events have noticeably remained silent. Now, in the midst of all of this, there's been a photo from the 4th of July party in the year 2000 that's caused some buzz. So it's a big group photo. We've got him in a bed with J.Lo, Aaliyah, Andre Harrell, Natanya Adcock, Damon Dash, and almost everybody's dressed in white, so I guess it was a white party as well, minus Puff Daddy, J.Lo, and Natanya. So there's some intrigue here. And then there's another photo. Just J.Lo and Puffy, once again, cuddled up on this oversized bed with white pillows that I wouldn't want to take a black light within 20 feet of. And a lot of people are calling the music industry and the Hollywood industry out after seeing that first group photo, because we all remember Aaliyah, right? Her story that I can't talk about. So somebody said, poor Aaliyah dealing with all of the icky people she dealt with. She was so vulnerable and unprotected. She was in the wrong spaces. The industry was so cruel to her. Like, when you look at the photos, sure, yeah, they look like just a fun romp, a fun little party, a little Hollywood moment. But now when you look at all the context, all the things that have happened or allegedly happened over the years, obviously people are going to talk about it. And also, people want to know, why is J.Lo being silent? Like, maybe she was left traumatized during her time with Puff Daddy. But somebody else was like, hey, maybe that's why none of her marriages have lasted long, because she's traumatized from what happened. So she only dated Puff Daddy for like 2 years. They dated from 1999 to 2001, and apparently they had a roller coaster of a relationship. It was one for the history books at the turn of the century, but apparently it was super duper turbulent.
Knight, a former record exec, revealed in September of this year that he believes the reason that J.Lo separated from ex-husband Ben Affleck was because of some tapes found in Diddy's home. Knight shared his theories on his podcast, claiming that when the FBI raided Diddy's home, they would have found some tapes featuring the Jenny from the Block singer. The former record exec further went on to bring up the 1999 incident that got J.Lo arrested with Diddy, the altercation in the Manhattan club that dissolved into a police chase and the arrest of the famous individuals. Knight said, they go raid Puffy's house and they get all these videos of J.Lo doing this and J.Lo doing that, and they know the fact that J.Lo lied and said that the weapon was Shine's or whatever and sent that man to prison, destroyed his life, and she knew it was Puffy's. This is a pretty major accusation considering that people were hurt in that club fight. If you can believe it, this isn't the only person that has indirectly revealed that J.Lo might have lied or not been entirely truthful about her involvement that night. Earlier this year, new details came to light when Rodney Little Rod Jones Jr. filed a civil lawsuit for non-consensual relations and harassment against Diddy. But it also seemed to possibly reference this 1999 incident as well. It claimed that on the day Homeland Security raided Diddy's home, he displayed his weapons and bragged about getting away with using these weapons against people. It went further, saying that J.Lo was the one who carried the firearm into the club for him and passed him the firearm after he got into an altercation with another individual. On the night of the incident, J.Lo was held for 14 hours before being cleared of all charges. Now, you would think that the club situation was enough drama on its own with everything we just covered, but it actually exposed another long-haul lie that J.Lo had kept up. The star had told everyone that she was born in 1970, but because she was, arrested that night, she had to tell the police her actual date of birth, which revealed that she was actually born in 1969. Not really a major difference, but it was enough to have people buzzing. I mean, the whole night definitely had news publications buzzing. This was just like a little cherry on top, and what a way to have to reveal your age to the world. J.Lo wasn't entirely honest about who was singing the chorus of her song, If You Had My Love. Shania Harrell apparently sang the chorus, but was credited as just a background singer. Having someone else on your track, it's super common in the music industry. In recent years, it's more common that people will sing the majority of their song and the other voices will truly be backing vocals, but it seems like in this case, Harrell might have not been credited properly if she really did sing the chorus, and J.Lo is just lip-syncing along. Maybe J.Lo never came out and said that she wasn't fully singing the chorus, but she also didn't make it known that she wasn't. Likely what happened is J.Lo did put some vocals in there, mixed in with Harrell handling the brunt of it. As for crediting the person as a background singer, there's no way of knowing if J.Lo was the one to sign off on that. A similar situation can be found for J.Lo's song I'm Real. J.Lo might be known as the singer, but Ashanti deserves her flowers, at least when it comes to the chorus. and ad-libs and the writing of the song. Allegedly, the song I'm Real by Jennifer Lopez was written by Ashanti. She sung the demo that was given to J.Lo. Typically, artists, when they get demos, they just use it to see what the song will sound like, then they re-record the song because it's their song now, they want their vocals. At least that is what one might think. In this case, it looks like J.Lo did not re-record anything, just kept the demo vocals and ad-libs. Ashanti received credit for background vocals, but the co-writing credit was nowhere to be found. So while J.Lo likely got permission to do that, it wasn't a good look in the eyes of the public since it almost felt like J.Lo lied to them about who was really singing the song. To make the entire situation worse, J.Lo, who is Puerto Rican, used the N-word on the track. That was met with the appropriate response and callouts. I'm Real was so successful that Ashanti did actually write for J.Lo again, so there must not have been too much bad blood. She came back to write Ain't It Funny, also adding some ad-lib vocals into this song. She did get to appear in the music video for that one too. Social media star Samantha Barbash was the inspiration behind the critically acclaimed film Hustlers, produced by and starring Jennifer Lopez. But she called out the actress for lying about her compensation on that movie. Samantha in general does not appreciate that film and actually sued J.Lo and her production company for defamation. Samantha shared her perspective on the situation in an interview with TMZ. She said, "They basically stole my story. I wouldn't sign my rights away. I wasn't giving away my film and TV rights for peanuts." J.Lo famously said that she didn't make any money working on Hustlers, that she did it for free because she loved the story. But Barbash is claiming that the star is lying about that, saying, "J.Lo doesn't work for free, why would I?" She further claimed that 87% of the film was wrong. Samantha's case, though, was ultimately dismissed. There was a rumor going around that J.Lo had asked her friend Derek Huff to move his wedding around to better fit the scheduling for her movie. Turns out, that was a big lie. Derek Huff exposed the rumor for what it was, nothing but a fake story. He did this during an interview with E! News. He clarified that J.Lo did not make him change his schedule, she flipped her schedule around for him. He also went on to say that J.Lo provided guidance and help while he was planning his wedding. The reason the rumor even started in the first place was because J.Lo was adamant on getting Derek Huff for her movie. But when she was told that he couldn't do it because he was in a wedding, his wedding, she still asked them to call again anyways. People assumed that because Huff was ultimately in the movie, that she made him switch things around, which again wasn't the case. One TikTok user accused J.Lo of lying about having a tough upbringing. This came after clips from J.Lo's documentary, The Greatest Love Story Never Told, went viral online. The artist was talking about her life in the Bronx, her working class family, and how crazy it was. She said, "I like taking my hair out like this. It reminds me like when I was 16 in the Bronx, running up and down the block." One TikTok user, Photos by Angela, did not appreciate these claims and called out J.Lo for lying about her life and accused the star of using the people of the Bronx to look human. In her own video about the situation, she said, "We both attended an all-girls high school in an Irish and Italian neighborhood, so you weren't running up and down the block." Angela later admitted that her and J.Lo didn't attend the school at the same time. J.Lo went there first, but Angela did know of her. What has been apparently a known industry secret recently reached public ears when multiple stories of J.Lo's tipping etiquette emerged on the social media app TikTok. Dozens of people in the serving industry shared the same story. J.Lo either wouldn't tip much, or if her husband at the time tipped more than she thought appropriate, she would replace that tip with something smaller. Most stories have one thing in common: J.Lo is not fun to serve. This situation also has people up in arms, considering J.Lo is always referencing her upbringing and how hard she worked. It makes people wonder why she is so reluctant to give those in the service industry an extra boost every once in a while. One former casino employee claimed in a video that J.Lo would either encourage Ben Affleck to leave smaller tips for employees, or if he still left something bigger, circle back later to exchange that tip for something smaller, likely without her husband knowing, but unfortunately not always. In one particular instance of this, Affleck was allegedly present when it happened and allegedly looked mortified. Now some servers have made the claim that Affleck doesn't tip at all anymore. TikTok user Candace made a video calling servers to comment on it if they have a J.Lo story like this, and many shared their experiences and those of their friends. Recently, J.Lo was spotted out with a $70,000 Hermes bag on her arm, and people were quick to comment on that high price tag. It is more than some people's salary, but that's not even the big deal here. Some TikTok and Threads users have been spreading a rumor that J.Lo has been banned from Hermes because of this very bag, saying that the star didn't pay for it in full or something like that, and as punishment she was banned from the luxury store. This would mean they are losing a big customer, since J.Lo's Hermes collection totals to hundreds of thousands of dollars. The singer has a wide range of Birkins in addition to the picnic basket looking one that that landed her name in the headlines. Her most expensive bag is an estimated $500,000. There are a few loose threads with the Hermes ban rumor, one being, why would the luxury store let one of their precious bags go without receiving full payment for it? If she bought it secondhand, why would the store ban her? If she has more expensive bags, why wouldn't she be able to afford this one? It's safe to say that this was one internet rumor that turned out to be a big lie.
Jennifer Lopez seems to be telling one lie after another. She's lied about her upbringing, her love stories, who actually sings her music, and who knows what else at this point. So if you didn't know, earlier this year, J.Lo released her documentary on Amazon Prime called This Is Me Now, A Love Story, which gave a behind-the-scenes look into her new album, well, her latest album, This Is Me Now, and the accompanying movie, The Greatest Love Story Never Told. So some fans who watched it took to social media to call her out for her lies. So there's one scene where she poses in front of the mirror at like her gym, and she's like shaking out her hair, and she's like, oh yeah, like I like taking my hair out like this. It reminds me when I was young and in the Bronx, running up and down the block. Crazy girl who used to be effing wild and no limits, all dreams. Well, TikTok user Photos by Angela slammed the star in a series of videos. She claims to have gone to the same Catholic high school as J.Lo and accused her of lying about her experience living in the Bronx. She said, we both attended an all-girls high school in an Irish and Italian neighborhood, so you weren't running up and down the block. Let's go on to line number 2, shall we, folks? So J.Lo has been long accused of not actually singing on her albums, and singer Natasha Ramos took to TikTok to shed light on that rumor. So Natasha has a voice very similar to that of Jennifer's, and she was hired to sing the demo of Jenny from the Block. The production team liked her voice so much they asked her to record 5 more songs for the album This Is Me, including the single I'm Glad. Natasha received like $3,500 in a backup singer's credit. However, as she claims and the original demo demonstrates, it's her voice in the final track. And not only the choruses, it's her laugh, it's her yelling from the Bronx. J.Lo only sings in the verse. If we're gonna talk about stealing, J.Lo is notorious for this. She caught her big break in 1997 when she starred as the late Latin pop singer Selena in the biography of the same name, and after that film, J.Lo ventured into music. Her demo was picked up by music exec Tommy Mottola and Sony Music, and she dropped her debut album on the 6th in summer of 1999. The big hit, If You Had My Love, we all know it. Well, that song received some backlash from R&B singer Shantae Moore. Moore had a near identical song called If I Gave Love, recorded a year prior in '98. Both songs, J.Lo's and Moore's, were written and produced by Rodney Jerkins. It's been said that J.Lo's then boyfriend Puff Daddy pressured Jerkins to write a near identical song, and J.Lo's stealing only gets worse as time went on. So look, technically using background vocals is not uncommon in the music industry, but the issue with J.Lo is because she's passed so many vocals from other singers as her own, she's essentially committing fraud. Songs like Play and the I'm Real remix feature prominent reference track vocals from Christina Milian and Ashanti. Ashanti's a big name here, folks. J.Lo and Ja Rule's music video for I'm Real remix, yeah, J.Lo reused Ashanti's reference track vocals on the song and passed them off as her own. Instead of J.Lo re-recording the song, she was just like, yeah, no, this is totally me, guys. It's not. J.Lo has also stolen or attempted to steal from artists such as Usher, Brandy Norwood, Mariah Carey, and so many more. She's also been accused of lip-syncing during live performances on so many occasions. Back in 2021, fans took to social media during her American Music Awards performance to express their disappointment because they're like, these vocals are not matching the studio version of the song. On my way. 2014, American Idol, they were like, this rendition of I Like It Poppy, it ain't it, girl. Let's talk about some diva behavior, shall we? So, in 2002, J.Lo starred in the romantic comedy Made in Manhattan. She was all over the world promoting it. Actors always do press. And when she was in London, people were talking. And not about the movie. She had a very interesting encounter with hotel staff. So she stayed at the Metropolitan Hotel, and she was being a big diva. The hotel staff was actually astounded by her extravagant demands because it was reaching levels they had never seen before. She wanted so many lemon-scented candles, and no matter where she went, she always had to be in like a limo, even though maybe she was only going like down the block. Nope, still need to be escorted there. I can't walk. In 2012, reports surfaced that she demanded that any staff working for her make no eye contact or speak with her. So she was having work done on her San Fernando Valley home, and she was like, no helpers, no drivers, no contractors. You cannot interact with me. She's flying first class. Don't even try talking to her if you're the flight attendant and that's your job. One time a flight attendant offered her a drink and she was like, She said to her assistant, please tell him I'd like a Diet Coke and lime. Just say, hi, thank you so much, I'd like a Diet Coke and lime. It's not that hard. We're gonna go back into her lying behaviors. So remember that fun movie she did with Ryan Guzman? Yeah, she had him fake his relationship status to hype up their movie. Or at least that's what his ex-girlfriend's saying. So Melanie Iglesias called out J.Lo on the No Chaser podcast for how she claims J.Lo acted during the 2015 The Boy Next Door press run. She's like, yeah, J.Lo was holding hands with Ryan at after parties. She was acting like they were an item, knowing full well he had a girlfriend. So the girlfriend was like, yeah, I met J.Lo at an award show and it was just like really awkward. There was like a really firm handshake, a once over, and Melanie was disappointed because she once viewed J.Lo as a hero. Also, I know we don't like Ellen DeGeneres, but when she asked J.Lo, like, doesn't he have a girlfriend? J.Lo played dumb. She's like, I don't know. J.Lo faced a lot of backlash after revealing she was unhappy about sharing the stage with Shakira back at the Super Bowl in 2020. The duo took the stage by storm at the iconic annual halftime show, with their history-making performance attracting ton of praise from fans and celebs worldwide. But it turns out that despite the evident success of the joint performance, J.Lo wasn't really happy with sharing the stage. And she admitted that in her Netflix documentary that she thought it was the worst idea in the world. So shortly after those comments hit the internet, fans were like, girl, this attitude is entitled. It's over. Regardless of time constraints, those two put on an iconic show. So what's with the diva behavior? So what isn't J.Lo telling us? Well, let's go and talk about Puffy's recent arrest on racketeering charges, more things I can't say, how it sent shockwaves through Hollywood, turning the spotlight on his infamous past parties and every connection he's ever had. Well, as the scandal has been unfolding, a lot of celebrities, once linked to this star-studded human being, have been keeping quiet. In the midst of all the controversy, there's been a lot of photos from these 4th of July parties, from the white parties, from the birthday bashes, that have tongues wagging. There's one photo where we see Puff Daddy in a bed with J.Lo, Aaliyah, Andre Harrell, Natanya Adcock, Damon Dash. Everybody's dressed in white except for Puff Daddy, J.Lo, and I'm kind of wondering why. And there's another photo where once again, J.Lo and Puff Daddy are cuddled up on what seems to be an oversized bed covered with white pillows that I wouldn't want to put a black light near. And a lot of folks call the industry cruel after seeing that, especially the first one. They were like, poor Leah, dealing with Puff Daddy, dealing with other predators. She was so vulnerable and unprotected. She was in all the wrong spaces. The industry was so cruel to her. And after what we've talked about today with J.Lo and how she took advantage of her, yeah, that makes sense. Sure, these photos might have been simple and fun and innocent at the time, but now if you look at it with all the context and the history, J.Lo girl, are you okay? Fans on social media have been talking a lot about them, and they're talking a lot about J.Lo and her silence amidst everything that's going on in the news. Maybe she's too traumatized to talk about things. Some folks said that, hey, the divorce with Ben Affleck makes more sense now. Poor J.Lo was just completely traumatized after being with Puff Daddy for 2 years. Yeah, they dated from 1999 to 2001, and they had a roller coaster of a relationship, and fans want to know just how much of an impact it had on the poor woman.
Jennifer Lopez is not doing too well lately, as it seems the whole world is against her. So let's dive into the top 5 tragic moments that led to Jennifer Lopez's downfall. Now, starting off, we have her new album, and her tour was cancelled. Now, earlier this year, J.Lo released her album, This Is Me Now. It had been 10 years since her last studio LP, 2014's AKA, and a whole 22 years since 2002's This Is Me Then, which gave her 2 of her biggest hits, Jenny from the Block and All I Have. Now, J.Lo said, I didn't even have to make the record. It's not like anyone was clamoring for the next J.Lo record, you know what I mean? And maybe it should have stayed that way. Now, despite a major promotional campaign, including a star-studded short film, This Is Me Now Love Story, that accompanied the album release, the album made a disappointing debut on the Billboard 200 at number 38. She then revealed that she was going on tour this summer, but she quickly canceled it. Representatives for Live Nation announced that the summer tour, This Is Me Live, was cancelled, saying in a statement, Jennifer is taking time to be off with her children, family, and close friends. Now, sources insist that pulling the plug was not due to poor ticket sales, but rather for personal reasons and wanting to be with her kids. Then there's no one wanting to be in her film. Now, in order for Jennifer to execute her musical film the way she envisioned the project, she had to front the budget herself. Now, in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, she revealed that she self-financed the movie, which cost $20 million in total to produce. Now, J.Lo also had a very hard time booking celebrity cameos. In one scene in her documentary, the casting director tells her that we sent out all the offers last night to everybody and we're waiting to hear back from a few people, like Jane Fonda. Now, a voice off camera then says Taylor Swift is a no, Jason Momoa is not available, Jennifer Coolidge is not available, Lizzo not available. J.Lo then says it'd be good to get Bad Bunny to do a little cameo as a bad kid, but of course that never ended up happening. It must have been a red flag that all these big names were turning down her project, but she didn't seem too bothered by it. Next is her rules for Ben. Now, it's been revealed that J.Lo has some rules for her husband Ben Affleck, and a lot of people are calling her controlling and gross. Now, it's said that he's not allowed to be on planes with female flight attendants. Why? Well, J.Lo's then husband Mark Anthony had an alleged fling with a flight attendant, so she banned women from working on her private jet, and so nothing like that could ever happen again. She then made sure that Ben was going to the gym and eating healthy, and it was also reported that J.Lo demanded sexual intercourse 4 times a week from her husband. Now, Ben denied this and all other roles in a Vanity Fair interview, but honestly, I think that could have just been damage control. On to her past interviews. Now, the infamous Movie Line interview in 1998 that could have almost ruined J.Lo's career was truly worse than you could imagine. She was 27 at the time and fresh off the success of her film Selena. Now, she basically decided to trash all other celebrities that were big at the time and try to trivialize their career and contributions to the industry. In fact, when asked about Madonna, she actually said, "Do I think she's a great performer? Yeah, I do. Do I think she's a great actress? No. Acting is what I do, so I'm harder on people when they say, oh, I can do that, I can act. I'm like, hey, don't spit on my craft." Now, it was so ironic because J.Lo would go on to do both music and acting for the rest of her career, and critics also trashed her acting on the big screen. Now, also at the time, Madonna had been a star for a lot longer than J.Lo, so there was really no comparison there. And then with Gwyneth Paltrow was brought up, Jennifer almost seemed to laugh and made it clear that she didn't take her fellow actress's career seriously by saying, "Tell me what she's been in, I swear to God, I don't remember anything she was in." Some people get hot by association. I heard more about her and Brad Pitt than I've ever heard about her work. And finally, we have faking being from the Bronx. Now, her project sparked controversy and backlash on TikTok, all because of the way Jennifer was talking about her upbringing in the Bronx. Now, in her documentary, Jennifer says the greatest love story never told is about facing the truth of who you really are, but a clip completely backfired when it went viral, as fans started accusing her of misrepresenting herself. Now, it shows Jen tousle her hair while looking into a mirror, reminiscing about her childhood. She says, "I like taking my hair out like this. It reminds me like when I was 16 in the Bronx, running up and down the block, crazy little girl who used to be wild and no limits, all dreams." But even though she loves speaking about the Bronx, it's a place that she actively avoids. Now, one TikTok creator, Photos by Angela, posted a video alleging that she and J.Lo had gone to the same high school and claims to have waited for years before speaking out, having been annoyed in silence. Now, in the TikTok clip, she bluntly accuses J.Lo of lying and using the residents of the Bronx to look human. Then, in J.Lo's documentary, she recalls her go-to order at the local bodega while growing up. "My go-to order at the bodega was ham and cheese on a roll with an orange drink, if you know you know, and a small bag of chips," she said. Now, on TikTok, creators from the neighborhood have taken to the internet to express their outright confusion about J.Lo's bodega request. Now, specifically, people seem to be pretty confused about what exactly the orange drink is. So no one knows what orange drink you're talking about, J.Lo, and they're all making fun of you.